Do you remember when we first started this journey together? We ventured forth and forged a bond, made to unite, made to perform. It was a new partnership. We found new ways to excel despite the odds. We were built for each other. It was the first time I felt like I belonged, like I was a part of something bigger. Together we faced adversity and embraced it. And with you by my side, I've become better, more durable, stronger. Because what others see as limitations, I see as strength. Our community has fueled my fire. Together we've rewritten the narrative, unlocking doors to a world of possibility. I'm proud of the journey we've taken, to be a part of something truly groundbreaking. I see a world where limitations are shattered and possibilities unlocked. Performax, empowering athletes and redefining limits for 25 years.
John, continuing on with those rule changes, just to recap, there is no backcourt pressing, an 8-foot rim instead of a 10-foot rim, a 13-foot free throw line instead of 15, no shot clock. The rules are you must dribble the ball every 5 seconds, but that's it. So you'll see a slower pace of game. Again, some athletic talent here, but the rules dictate a slower pace of game and only 2 timeouts per team instead of the normal complement. And we'll see media timeouts, of course, at 4 minutes. Why do I say 4 minutes? Because we play 4 8-minute quarters here at the prep level. So different timing, different distances, fewer timeouts, no shot clocks. Keep it all in your head, folks. We'll keep you apprised.
Yeah, so essentially a more youthful version of basketball, just as it is able-bodied basketball as young people continue to grow and develop, and in this case, develop more chair skills as it pertains to athletic achievement in those chairs and not just life functionality. You see that, and it's really cool to see the development. I'm looking over here at Liza Robbins, whom we saw actually yesterday get some minutes in the junior varsity semifinal game that Bennett was a part of with the Charlotte Rollin' Hornets. So certainly there are some players that have developed further because there is such a big age range also, Todd, in this prep division.
Yeah, certainly. I'm glad you pointed that out, John. There is a crossover allowed. If you're on a prep team and your varsity head coach permits it, you can double roster. That is permitted. However, once you reach the age of 14, 13 is your final age in the prep division. You age out and you must play either in the varsity or junior varsity leagues after that. But yeah, the developmental issues are huge. Take a look here at center court. You're seeing number 4 for the Bennett Blazers. That's Alexa Landers. Take a look at the size of Alexa compared to, say, the size of Cooper Hernandez on ATX. I bet he doubles her height, John, and that's just the way this goes because they can start as early as, we've got 2 players on the Bennett Blazers that have been playing since they were 2 years old.
And this is such a cool moment. We saw this before the VIT championship as well. The individual player introductions. This is a moment of a lifetime for any athlete, and especially at this young age, to experience the grandeur of this national championship stage. So cool, and as you see them roll by with the smiles on their faces and you hear the cheers behind us, those were the Bennett Blazers being introduced. Let's introduce you to Gwenna Herman's squad. We told you a little about Coach Herman yesterday. She's a legend. She's been involved in wheelchair basketball and with this Blazers program for 40 years. They hail from Baltimore, Maryland. You wouldn't know it from listening to Coach Herman. She hails from Massachusetts. She's got a blend of that Boston and New York accent, but she is sweet as pie, as we say here in the South, and really loves these young people. She talked about some of the stories of back when on the junior varsity level they won the national championship in 2019. They actually have Spencer Davis, who was a part of that national championship run when he was 7 years old. Now he'll compete for his own national championship here today. Davis, by the way, in the starting lineup. Take a look at that cheering support that we have for the Bennett Blazers. Davis will be joined in the starting lineup by number 2, Penelope Miller, number 11, Owen Stewart. The aforementioned Liza Robbins wears number 31, and Landon Brown. 4 of those 5 in their last year at this prep level before they advance into the varsity ranks. They are the Bennett Blazers, the number 5 seed. They are also in the dark red uniforms here this afternoon. ATX Abilities out of Austin, Texas, led by Tim Allen. They will start. Number 4, Miles Lynn. Number 12, Will Allen. Number 13, Ali Zabet. And number 53, Hunter Mastaller. And number 55, Cooper Hernandez. And a quick bucket, Todd. So much for that slow pace you were talking about.
Well, sometimes those height differentials and an 8-foot rim really come into play, John. I'll keep my mouth shut and let the athletes play.
Quick 2-0 lead. All kidding aside, for the ATX abilities, this is Spencer Davis. And a block. Mastler with that block. Hunter Mastler. And the defense chant coming from the Bennett Blazers fans. Really cool how they've set up the Henrico Sports and Events Center today into this championship court. Of course, at one point we had 12 courts going. 4 of them right here in this section of the facility as we get a lane violation and turnover back to the Blazers, but they've kind of dialed it down. There's still a lot of action going in the consolation brackets on the other side of the sound wall here, which cordons off the championship section. That's that blue wall you see top left of your screen there.
Yeah, something to watch here today, the tremendous height advantage that ATX enjoys. That'll be a part of their scoring as well. Those athletes of their size are not usually found at the prep level. No surprise that they will age out next year.
And no backcourt pressure, that's big. It takes out a lot of the back picking that you see. And there is that size advantage right on cue. Cooper Hernandez just flips it up and in. And ATX has an early 4-0 lead.
Yeah, Hernandez, a cancer survivor and amputee. That's why he's here. Courageous young man. Got cancer at age 6 and then found wheelchair basketball.
He, like every of the athletes here, has that unique aspect to their story. And look at that. Landon Brown, who we also saw get some minutes yesterday for the Blazers. He strikes first for Bennett.
No surprise that the champions here heading into this bracket are double rostering some of their players. That's just if you have talented players.
Legal screen was the call there, so we'll go the other way.
And you know one thing I'm really impressed with here, John? I'm not seeing the yips that we saw in that first game at the VIT. I think a little starstruck were those athletes. Maybe they realized the stage they were on. These athletes on the court here, they couldn't care less. They're playing, and they're looking sharp.
And they are not hesitant about shooting the basketball either. You love to see that. Robbins had the rebound for a moment off the miss from Spencer Davis. Gets tied up, but the alternating arrow will keep it on this end. And I worked with a legendary high school coach a number of years ago by the name of Bob Brink, and he had his team playing in the state championship, and in a critical moment, the veterans were faltering, and he put in a seldom used freshman. And I asked him after the game, I said, Coach, what were you thinking? And he said, sometimes you put in the one that's too young to know any better. And to your point, I think these kids are just so darn excited and youthful to be here and just have all their family and friends. They just want to get after it.
Yep, yeah, exactly.
And a whistle and a foul on the approach there, which came from Miles Lynn. So again, I mentioned alluded to the story of head coach Tim Allen and his son Will, who is on the courts and on this ATX team. Unfortunately, Will was able-bodied until 2019. He was involved in a very destructive car accident. Lucky to be alive is the way Coach Allen described the situation for his son. And, you know, after the devastation of the injury, as ATX scores again to take a 6-2 lead, you know, as a father, he said, I've got to find an activity for my son. I need him to be active and involved and loved. He found wheelchair basketball, and then he guides this ATX program, and it's blossomed into this wonderful story less than 5 years later.
Yeah, one of the things in life, the accident's certainly not their choice, but how you respond to that accident is a choice. As Viktor Frankl said in his famous book, Man's Search for Meaning, and they have responded well, finding an outlet for their son, and that is what this sport is all about, John.
Spencer Davis, also what this sport is all about. What a pure stroke on that elbow effort to make it a one-possession game.
And Spencer Davis, one of those I mentioned that's been playing since he was 2 years old. Imagine that, 12 years in the prep division.
Yeah, now 14 years of age. This is his last go-around of the prep division. He'll join that legendary Bennett Blazer junior varsity team next year. I asked Coach Herman, I said, will you be back next year? She said, oh yeah, better than ever. They did not win the national championship this year. They did make it to the semifinal round as the 3 seed yesterday.
I think the question I have for Gwen is she going to bring her husband Jerry or not?
I'd bring Jerry and I'd bring Spencer Davis because he is knocking them down one after another right from those elbows. Got us knotted up at 6.
That's the way Bennett's going to stay in this one. They don't have the height. They can't win the inside battle.
If they get the ball to that spot, that's very difficult to deal with. And Cooper Hernandez, another field goal.
My son is quite tall. He played at the prep level. John, I remember the last day that he was 13, his last game, one of the parents of a younger child asked if they could take a picture just to show the contrasting length, and that is what you're seeing with Cooper Hernandez, a contrast of height.
Due to that height, all 8 points scored in the lane for ATX thus far. Meanwhile, you've seen the bevy of outside efforts. All 3 of the baskets for the Blazers have been outside the paint. That was nearly their first bucket inside the lane. Yeah. Not to be.
Very unselfish there by Liza Robbins with that pass. Maybe the better discretion was to take that herself.
And there comes the lob again, and it's just a cheat code down there if you can get it there. Now the problem is, if you're Coach Herman, what are you going to do? You know, you just have to not allow him to that spot, but without being able to provide pressure in the backcourt, that's extremely difficult to do.
Maybe you hope he fouls out. I don't know, John. He seems to be unstoppable right now.
8 points already for Cooper Hernandez, 8 of the 10. And just keep on shooting and scoring. If you can't stop them, you got to score to keep up. And the Blazers are doing a heck of a job at doing that. Once again, Landon Brown with his second field goal.
Yeah, you can see the different green stripe on the court, John. That's a shorter three-point line. You won't see a lot of those attempts at this level, but the Blazers with that outside shooting certainly could do it.
See the disappointment on the face there briefly from Landon Brown because he was in position and nearly was able to take that ball away. He did prevent it from Cooper Hernandez. We're taking media timeouts here during the championship games. We'll keep it with you, however, we will let you know about one of our fine sponsors, and that is RGK, the #1 sports chair in the world since 1988, proud sponsor of the NWBA, NWBA championships, and athletes with unstoppable ambition everywhere. RGK, your chair made better. And also presented by Nike, the official apparel and shoes of the NWBA. I've seen that Jordan brand logo on a number of the chairs and decals, and of course on the feet of these athletes. And Todd, like you say, this prep game different, but this is some high-level prep basketball. This has been awesome thus far. We're not even 6 minutes in.
I'll tell you what, John, there's a lot of prep games whose first digit of their score begins with the number 2 after it's done. A lot of prep scores in the 20s, some even in the teens. So for these teams to be out to this pace is incredible.
Sorry, I was distracted by these yahoos. Look at these enthusiastic supporters who've made their way to Austin. If you've never been to Austin, Texas, one of the coolest places in the world. And it has a lot of the cool people like you just saw there. They've got the balloons and the boas and everything else. They're ready for a natty here for the ATX abilities and head coach Tim Allen.
I think the official motto of Austin is "Keep Austin Weird," right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I know they won't mind being called yahoos, you know, and
there you
family
go.
Texting and listening back in Texas. Quick shot from the outside off the inbound, wouldn't go, and an opportunity now for the Bennett Blazers to draw even or take the lead. Evenly balanced scoring between the ball carrier at the moment, #1 Spencer Davis, and Landon Brown. Brown is kind of being held up there out of the play, so Davis will take matters into his own hands and level us up. Man, he's shooting the lights out.
I don't know why they're not putting someone on him, but boy, is he hot.
10 apiece. Spencer Davis has 6. As I mentioned, he was part of that national championship team in 2019. Like a lot of coaches, after COVID shut down sports, including the National Wheelchair Basketball Association National Championship that year, Gwenna Herman was amongst the coaches that felt like had they played, her team would have been back-to-back national champions. And wow, Davis is, as we say, en fuego. 4 for 5 shooting, but he's made the last 4.
Yeah, one of the things you'll notice here, and we're seeing that with ATX, this is a game of a lot of one-and-dones, and that's a little bit of that 8-foot hoop and the way that the athletes on defense are able to surround it. Not a lot of second chances here, so shooting is paramount.
And they're finally able to deal with a little of that size. It wasn't Cooper, but Masteler Back to him, and up and through. So again, you see the shooting prowess on the one end for the Bennett Blazers, and then you just see that imposing physical force on the inside for ATX. Contrasting styles to be certain, but it has been a remarkably entertaining contrast to this point.
Yeah.
Nearly an opportunity for the first bucket in the paint, and two in fact, but they go wanting for the Blazers. As Court Schneider, a third member of our broadcast team, pointing out that contrast couldn't be more glaring. 12 points in the paint, that accounts for all the points for ATX. No points in the paint for the Blazers.
Good opportunity there by Cassie, I believe, catching that ball to get the first paint points for the Blazers. Unable to make that. Not usually a ball handler. She was a little surprised to have it.
Couldn't beat the clock at the end of the first quarter. So we will remain tied at 12, but the applause won't stop during the break. We'll stay here and again highlight another of our outstanding sponsors of this weekend here in Richmond, and that is Mount Olive Pickles. Pickles and basketball, or basketball and pickles, no matter how you say it. Basketball is better when Mount Olive Pickles are around. Mount Olive is proud to partner with the NWBA in supporting athletes and their families. Founded in 1926 at the corner of Cucumber and Vine, the Mount Olive Pickle Company has been making America's best-selling brand of pickles, peppers, and relishes for nearly 100 years. Find Mount Olive's great line of products anywhere you shop for groceries. Just ask for Mount Olive, America's pickle. John Laser, Todd Pettit, Court Schneider with you. That was a riveting first quarter of action, 12 apiece. And Todd, you always say the shooters against the posts, same in any level or any variety of basketball. They'll always say post play more sustainable than the shots continuing to fall. But I'm not sure they've seen Spencer Davis, because he's not only gone 4 or 5 from the field on those 4 makes, he hasn't touched the rim.
It is no wonder that Bennett finds themselves here in the finals with shooting like that. At the prep level, John, exceedingly rare. I've watched hundreds of prep games. He might be the finest prep shooter I have ever seen.
And that is saying something. You were mentioning your son earlier, of course, spent years in the Rolling Timberwolves program out of Minnesota. And there's a point I want to make about the Timberwolves, an accomplishment that was just reached by their leader. I'm going to let you do the honors because you've known him for so long. Tremendous honor and recognition of that honor, by the way, throughout the building.
Yeah, very rare that they actually stopped play in the wheelchair basketball, but they did in Court 5 today, where Jack Binsfeld, the leader, senior leader, heading to the University of Illinois, scored his 2,000th point.
And congratulations to Jack, and there was a moment of acknowledgement, kind of a ripple of energy that went through the building. Saw the steal on one end for the Blazers, but then the mistake from Davis on the other. Get it up in front, and we see that size and speed and the ability on the move for Cooper Hernandez. As impressive as he's been, his 5th field goal was by far the most spectacular.
Well, in a battle of the dueling banjos, Cooper pulls ahead. He has 10 to Davis's 8. Will Davis answer an outside shot? I bet he will.
And Davis, you see, angling to the left. Hernandez is out on him, but getting a pick from Penelope Miller. This is Landon Brown. Again, no shot clock at the prep level. So Brown has some time, and he sets up Liza Robbins. Defense adjusts, and we'll get a lane violation as a result. So a great job by the ATX defense to bottle up Robbins. That was a good look by Brown, though, just to put Robbins in that position in the first place.
John, I almost was going to remind you that there's no shot clock. I saw you get antsy because they had held that ball a long time. Nope, they can do that.
Every head step to dribble every 5 seconds is the rule, opposed to the 2-touch rule. Here comes off the empty trip Spencer Davis. Don't want to fall too far behind a team that has the ability to score consistently due to that size like ATX does.
Yeah, maybe once every 4 or 5 years you're blessed with that height, but to have that height on 2 individuals is unheard of at the prep level.
Davis tried to find Liza Robbins there. Pass was cut off. It was the 3rd straight turnover, but ATX gives it right back. Let's look to the road of the championship game as you eye the Blazers bench there. For the Blazers, again led by 40th-year head coach Gwenna Herman. They went through the Charlotte Roland Hornets, 38-20. Then the Dallas Junior Mavs, if this name sounds familiar from our last couple days broadcasting these programs, this is how they regenerate. But the Mavs were defeated 28-24, and then LWSRA out of the Chicago, Illinois area, 42-41, in what was a thriller of a game yesterday. And you could hear the audible crowd throughout this building for about an hour long as that game was taking place. But it was the Blazers that prevailed and allowed them to meet the ATX abilities, who dispatched of Cincinnati the Dragons 42-10, the Blaze Sport Hawks 34-16, and the Roland Fury of New York 36-30. ATX has the 2-point lead. Hernandez has position, didn't get that one, but an offensive rebound, and that will be frustrating for the Blazers. Hernandez, a rare misfire, but Mastler takes care of business.
John, I know you know the owner of the facility well here. I almost want to tell him to get his money back on that sound curtain, because it did nothing for these prep fans. We could hear them loud and clear.
And you could have just asked, he was standing right behind us just a couple of moments. Yes, I remember he saying that. It didn't do much, to be honest with you, no. And the sound wall, I believe they refer to it here.
There you
but
go.
it still did not deny the Blazers fans.
Heard all throughout the gym, reverberations.
All right, Blazers trying to get a big stop here in the second quarter. Hernandez gives it off to Mastler, but wave off the basket, wave it off. They had a lane violation. So Hernandez trying to play unselfishly to Mastler, but probably could have taken the look himself. Those two have all the points at the moment for ATX, 10 and 6 respectively. This is Davis. Davis backdoor cut for Brown. He's fouled. Oh, it would not fall. Brown thought he had it. Double tap on the rim. But Brown will be going to the foul line. And again, reminder on the rules difference in prep basketball, the 15-foot foul line, you don't have to stay stationary behind it. You can approach to 13 feet, and that, of course, is to benefit the younger players who don't have the strength to get the basketball there from 15 feet. Jim has gone eerily quiet in respect for the free throw.
I can hear again.
Landon Brown nearly got the first, spun it out.
I claim a little responsibility for that, John. During the media timeout, I turned around and taunted the ATX fans to cheer louder, and they've met the challenge.
Yeah, you're that guy, repetitively. Both free throws unsuccessful for Landon Brown, so it remains a 4-point game. We'll get the media timeout on the next stoppage here, so an opportunity to regroup. And the reason I point out the media timeouts is because it does impact the coaches' uses of timeouts. Of course, they don't have to use them as quickly generally because they know another one's coming. There really hasn't been much need for a coach's timeout yet, though, because both teams have played very poised. Davis through the double team, and a foul. A foul against ATX on Owen Stewart. We'll check the number on the foul, and it is against Hunter Mastler.
You can see the pace slowing down now a little bit, John, after the initial barrage. I think the combination of Mastler and Hernandez for ATX was, I think they're neutralizing them now, keeping them a little bit off their shots. The pace is slowed down. We were on pace for a 50-50 game. Kind of reined in a little bit, more like you see in prep ball.
And the initial defensive adjustment, I remember you saying on the third basket for Davis, need to put someone on him. Well, they have done that. They've put two on, and that's why you just saw what you did just see was the pass through the double to Owen Stewart. All right, 4 free throw opportunities not converted for the Blazers. And it will be ATX basketball. 4:01 remaining here in the second period. To give a lot of credit, by the way, to Miles Lynn. He's number 4 there in white. He is the table setter. All the points scored by the big guys, but Lynn has been the distributor. 4 assists thus far. And that one wouldn't go for Masteller.
I think Masteller had visions of that 3-second call again in his head. He was really close to it, had rushed that shot a little bit. Anytime you don't square, you often miss.
4-point lead for ATX, the abilities. This is Davis. Brown, kerplunk, top of the key. 6 points for Brown. Go with the 8 for Davis. And again, it's that 1-2 scoring punch. You can see that they'll use Robbins a little bit on the inside, but the other two are setting picks and trying to get the two shooters open. And that time, excellent defense. And one of those, Penelope Miller, was first on the scene with the assist from Spencer Davis. Now Cooper Hernandez, who was automatic to start the game, has missed his last 3. That's allowed the Blazers to try to even things up here.
I think you can attribute that to Tavares to Davis and Miller, who have just done a great job keeping him about 3 or 4 feet away. He's loved that right side post, but they're not letting him get quite as far in, and he can't quite make that long shot. You'll see that a lot with post play at this level, where they can make the easy bank, but as soon as that backboard's not an option, swishing seems to be really hard for them.
There is the huddle, and there is Coach Tim Allen. Again, car accident which injured his son, almost killed his son, Will Allen, back in 2019, and he has turned it into this. Look at this group of coaches that he's got, the players around him, the traveling cavalcade from all the way from Austin, Texas here to Richmond, Virginia. Just quite an incredible group of people, and you just feel the spirit follow them through the building throughout the course of the weekend. Same could be said of that group, the Blazers. There is no tournament without the Blazers as part of it, you know that. Into the semifinal round yesterday at the junior varsity level. Hung in there with the Charlotte Rolling Hornets for quite some time, and Charlotte pulled away eventually in the second half. You see the championship court set up here at the Henrico Sports and Events Center, and again, we've still got the main event coming, the Junior Varsity National Championship game between number 1 Lakeshore and number 2 Charlotte. Will be a good one. This one has been a good one.
The story that you talk about, Tim Allen, there's hundreds of those stories out here, and that's what makes this community such a great one. They've all got stories. They've all overcome. These are the salt of the earth people that just people you want to get to know and love.
There is Lynn. So you can see an adjustment here, almost a zone-style offense. Trying to use Hernandez as the trigger from the middle, and again, with no shot clock, you can do that and then have him maneuver to the post. That was the plan. Hernandez got cut off, so the shot was taken ahead of his arrival, and it would not fall.
Excellent defense there, keeping Cooper Hernandez out of anything close.
That's the first miss in a long time for Davis, but right on the spot, Liza Robbins to tie the game.
Liza Robbins gotten several rebounds under the hoop, usually swarmed by ATX arms. This case, she wasn't, and made them pay.
First basket in the paint comes off the offensive rebound. And we're going to get a whistle off the ball, and it's going to give it back to the Blazers looking for the lead. A 3-minute scoring drought for ATX as they opened up that lead. The Blazers, though, able to close the gap, 16 all. You see Landon Brown threw it away there for the turnover, but you just watch Brown play and you can't help but be so impressed. Todd, you see the shooting stroke with the right hand, but you can also see part of the disability is in the left hand, but he has overcome that in the way that he grips the basketball, the way that he maneuvers his chair. It's just incredible. I was watching it yesterday, and even more fascinating. You see it right there on that rebound, the adjustment he makes and the level at which he performs.
Like I said, this is a sport and about overcoming. Overcoming in the sports, overcoming in life. It's a wonderful thing.
Brown trying to use those chair skills. And does get it to Davis. 16 apiece as we approach the half here. Again, no shot clock. You can't just go into a traditional 4-corner stall, and there's going to be a whistle and a foul. They'll say before the shot. The foul is against Ali Zappit of ATX. Foul against Zappet. But on the ground, so it'll be an out of bounds under. Trying to set a pick for Spencer. You could hear Coach Herman shouting that. Didn't happen, and shot got blocked for Davis, but out of bounds, so the Blazers will keep it.
Keeping your eye on the paint there. There's not a lot of red. That's why their points aren't coming from the paint. They just can't even get in.
Wanted Penelope Miller, number 2, to pick for Spencer. She's instead picking for Brown. Brown a little short on that effort, but Liza Robbins over to get it. Fouled this time on the shot, I believe, for Brown. Hold on. Robbins with back-to-back offensive rebounds. And it is going to be foul shots. That foul is against Ali Zappet, his second on back-to-back possessions. Brown back at the foul line, and he got that one to go. The Blazers lead for the very first time. Strong start for ATX, but you don't coach for 40 years and not pick up an adjustment or two. Or 1,000. Both free throws go. It's been all Bennett Blazers of late. That was a little quick there from Cooper Hernandez. It will allow the Blazers 7.5 seconds to try to get the ball down floor in position to take advantage. And they will roll the ball in. Spencer Davis picks it up. He's got 4 to go. He drops it off for Liza Robbins. Robbins got it off, but it will not go. And that will do it for the first half, and we'll rest with just a 2-point margin. However, the last 8 belong to the Blazers, and they lead 18-16 on balanced scoring, 8 apiece from Davis, and also his running mate, Landon Brown. So halftime adjustments coming. We bring in the third member of our broadcast crew, Dr. Court Schneider. And Doc, your thoughts on that first half? It was a tale of 2 styles, certainly earlier.
Was really exciting, both inside and outside. You know, it was great to see the outside shooting at this level. Really impressed at a national championship game to not see the nerves with the outside shooting. Was a little bit worried that the size was going to kind of run them out of the gym, but then it came back and really settled into their offense. Is really impressive.
Thank you so much, Dr. Snyder, doing all of the heavy lifting for us in terms of statistics and the analysis as well. And Todd Pettit, bring you back in. Exactly what he said. We said at the beginning, we don't know if this is sustainable. These long shots as composed to the higher percentage for the big men, but in fact it was sustainable, at least for the first half. Can they sustain it through 2?
Well, we'll find out. I mean, what's interesting here is the scoring barrage that we saw early. ATX silence. I think they had 10 points within the first 6 minutes or so. They've really been calmed down, only scoring 6 in the last 10 minutes of play. So the Blazers have adjusted. Like you said, give a little bit of credit to Gwenna Herman. Of course, we give the credit mostly to the athletes on the court. But Gwenna made the right call, saw that if we keep Hernandez a little further out, a couple feet out, he doesn't have that range. I think that's been the adjustment of the game. And can ATX find a way to get him back where he's happy? And he's happy with an easy little 2-foot bank shot because he can pretty much dunk it.
Yeah. That would be fun to see. Yes, you're right, he can. And they were getting to that spot with relative ease at the beginning of the game. That has been the big adjustment. Both of these coaches are going to have to make those adjustments at halftime. You can see both huddles. They're starting to do just that. We will not adjust, but we will regroup and we will reassemble for the second half, we being John, Todd, and Court. So delighted to be a part of this weekend and bring it to you. If you were unable to travel here to Richmond, Virginia, we'll continue to do that. But we'll pause for a few minutes before we do. We collect ourselves. We'll crown a national champion in the prep division in just about 30 minutes. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back. At the Half Prep Division National Championship game from the Henrico Sports and Event Center in Richmond, Virginia. The road to Richmond arrived upon this beautiful new multi-sport facility, but this weekend showcasing the biggest event of them all in wheelchair basketball junior division. And then, of course, this is really going to spread out over a 2-week period because varsity division, the adult national championship, next week. And Todd, you're staying in town all week long amongst this community. They have been greeted with open arms. I know I've walked around here throughout the course of the weekend and sat and ate lunch with people and then just gushing about the level of production and the attitude for this tournament, and I know that you share that sentiment.
Yeah, having met at about 6 of these nationals personally, this is by far the biggest red carpet we've had rolled out as an organization. Richmond has just opened their arms to us, embraced us. We felt the love. I think the slogan is Virginia is for lovers, and we've certainly felt that here. And what a stage we've got in front of us. One of the things, I was talking to Matt Pierre, he's the president of the board of directors of the NWBA. He's got a long-term plan. I love the way he's thinking. We've got the Paralympics coming to the U.S. in 2028.
Yep.
And he wants wheelchair basketball to be known and loved there, and then bring that love here. So if we can elevate ourselves to that level, get the excitement of the U.S. behind wheelchair basketball in 2028, tie it all together, John, maybe you and I will be in arenas 4 or 5 years from now instead of event centers. Nothing wrong, nothing taken away from Henrico, but I'd love to sell 10,000 tickets to a wheelchair final.
Yeah, and if you can get on the trajectory, and you certainly can, that women's basketball becomes a rocket ship ride as you look at the Final Four and the record number of viewers and attendees they've had, and again, that national championship later on this afternoon, as is the headline game. Not that this hasn't been extraordinary at the prep division, but the junior varsity championship game. We'll have that for you following this one. Estimated start time at 2 o'clock. There will be a pause of 30 minutes after this game before that one starts to allow those athletes to warm up. But number 1 Lakeshore against number 2 Charlotte. I was just out on the concourse, and you could just see and sense those fan bases are making their way in, and they're going to be heard from, as are the ATX Abilities fans and the Bennett Blazers fans, before we get back into some adjustments that we think will happen for the second half. Other developments within the broadcast crew. Court Schneider now is the owner of some of those Thunder Sticks that were obtained during the half, and also on day 3, Dr. Schneider's gotten very comfortable in his position. He actually had the audacity to ask for a piece of paper and a bottle of water.
And a Diet Coke, John.
Oh, geez. I mean, no, we're having a lot of fun. We didn't know each other 2 days ago. Now we feel like friends and are. That's the spirit, I think, of this weekend and this competition in this community, as you've talked about. But also, we are here to win. We're going to crown a national championship here in just a couple of quarters of basketball. It's a 2-point game, as you can see. The Blazers hold the 18-16 lead on the ATX, but it feels a bit larger because they really dominated that second quarter. They held ATX scoreless for the final 5 minutes and some change of that half. They made the adjustment positionally on Cooper Hernandez and Hunter Mistaler, the 2 big men for ATX. They pushed them off their spots, and Dr. Schneider made a very astute point, I felt, during the half there off air. He said, a third scorer didn't emerge, whereas on the other side for the Blazers, Spencer Davis and Landon Brown have done the heavy lifting. Each of them have 8 points, but they've had Liza Robbins, who has been a force on the boards and has been able to contribute offensively, primarily off those offensive rebounds. They've identified that third scorer. It's been the difference thus far.
Yeah, absolutely. Having a multi-dimensional team can overcome the natural height and strength that is on display here for ATX. Now their fans are going to try to will them back in this. And remember, it was 16-12 at one point. The Blazers on a 6-0 run here. And we thought ATX might slip away with it, but again, the brilliant adjustments by either the team or by Coach Gwenna Herman, and they've just put Hernandez a little bit off his game. Let's see if he can adjust.
Original 5 starters for both teams. In fact, we haven't seen any subs thus far. And you see a quick blocked shot. So they were trying to involve Owen Stewart, were the Blazers, but Cooper Hernandez quickly snuffed that out for ATX and the Abilities. And the Abilities out of Austin, Texas. The Blazers hail from Baltimore, Maryland. They get it inside, but not to one of their bigger players. Miles Lynn there, who had it briefly. This is Will Allen, and on the roll-in, he scores for the first time. And there you go, right on cue, identify that third scorer. We thought it would be the coach's son, Will Allen, and indeed it is.
Yeah, Dr. Schneider called it. If that third scoring threat emerges for ATX, I think I like their chances.
So 18 all that quickly and abruptly snaps that scoreless spell for ATX. So Spencer Davis, best shooter we've seen in wheelchair basketball, particularly at this youthful age. Trying to drop it down to Penelope Miller. And last touched by Penelope Miller. Now again, Penelope Miller looks adorable, as you said in the pregame, but she is one of the fiercer pickers that you've seen, and you constantly hear Coach Glenna Herman saying, Penelope, pick, 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 and then she's right there in the fray.
The chair, a great equalizer. Penelope Miller able to set a pick on big number 55, Cooper Hernandez.
That is Hernandez, but he gives it to Mastler, and Mastler gives ATX the lead. So a quick 4 for ATX to start this third quarter.
ATX coming out strong as they did in the first half. And let's see if there's adjustments made to stop that offensive juggernaut.
Stellar, 8 points. Davis, you could see, thought about that, pulled it down. And Landon Brown was calling for it. He got it, and that's why he wanted it. Ties us back up again.
Landon Brown did a great job getting that ball off quickly. I saw the ref on the count there, John, and the ref was just about to do that third stroke and blow the whistle. Great job.
10 for Brown. He's the first member of the Blazers into double figures. Will Allen had that come right back to him, but he takes advantage as eventually he gets it to the block, and Masteller off to a strong start in this second half.
And here come the floodgates on the scoring. Yet again, the defense has gone silent.
First quarter, a lot of scoring. It was 12-10. We arrived at the half after a lighter scoring second half. Back to the first quarter pace. Davis down to Robbins. Robbins, how did she get that through the trees? Shot it up to the sun, and look at Penelope Miller motioning to the crowd, saying, come on. She was waving her arms for noise.
Robbins, a bright future in architecture with that geometry.
This is awesome. These youngsters enjoying this stage, and rightfully so. Robbins, 4 points now, 50% from the field, but we've got an and one coming. Stellar's so efficient, he didn't even realize he was fouled. He was already wheeling back the other way after scoring his third field goal of the quarter.
To him, maybe he thought that was a gnat that bit him, huh? Given the size differentials.
See Stellar shaking out the shoulders with the roll because he hasn't shot from this distance.
Yeah, right.
Everything's been kind of point blank off the block. And he banks it home for the three-point play. That's the difference in the game at the moment. So the adjustment hasn't been the positioning of Hernandez. It's been toggling those two. And Masteller is essentially playing the role Hernandez played in the first half. 13 points now for Masteller.
I think that added dimension, too, of Will Allen has maybe lightened up the defense against the two big guys.
Offensive rebound. And a block shot. Third block shot of the game for Cooper Hernandez, and he'll just take it all the way down the other end, and an offensive foul is the call. And again, that's for the uneducated wheelchair basketball. That looks for all the world like that's a defensive foul. Todd, explain to us why it's not.
Yeah, he was a little bit out of control, and if you're out of control and the other player is stationed and you run into them even slightly so, it is an offensive foul. So it doesn't have to look like a big charge to be one.
And a foul back-to-back on Cooper Hernandez. Picks up the defensive foul here.
Whereas, John, for able-bodied ball, you almost need to see that person fall over, split their head open on the ground before they get the charge call. Not so in wheelchair basketball.
We'll get a timeout on the floor here, more than halfway through the third quarter. 25-22, the adjustments thus far. ATX has that advantage. It's been a big quarter for Hunter Misteller, and his ATX abilities have the lead. The National Wheelchair Basketball Association National Championships proudly presented by Mobility Works. Mobility Works is the leading retail sales and service provider of wheelchair accessible vehicles. Through our national network of over 95 locations, we have the largest inventory of vehicles, along with other products like scooters, power wheelchairs, and home accessibility solutions that improve mobility. Through our personalized approach, we work with each client so that they receive the best solution for their needs. We believe every person deserves to be connected to who and what matters most in their lives. For more information, visit our website at mobilityworks.com or call 888-608-1659 to make an appointment today. Out of the timeout, it is Blazers basketball. Haven't had enough Spencer Davis for my liking in this quarter, and that's because ATX is scheming him out.
Well, indeed, John, indeed. He's really been silenced as that outside shooter. You saw 3 blocks there for Hernandez. Cooper Hernandez able to realize that he's the shooter. I'm going to come up on him a little bit, not allow that look, and they've really silenced him, done a great job.
And used the length of Hernandez, as Todd outlined earlier, cancer survivor and amputee due to that cancer. And there he is, right on cue. So Gwenna Herman obviously thinking the same thing. They scheme up the shot for Davis. He's got 10 now to match Landon Brown. But I was mentioning the amputation of the left leg, but you can see that when he is standing, Cooper Hernandez, what, maybe 6'2", 6'3" already at that young age?
I wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley.
Yeah, so a lot of length. First bucket of the half, as we were just discussing, for Spencer Davis. It's a 1-point game with 3:30 remaining in the third quarter. National championship game, prep division. Will Allen lobs it up, and look at that, pass by, roll reversal to Miles Lynn. That was kind of the Statue of Liberty play. Just hold the ball up, everybody trying to reach up and grab it, and then just drop it by to the smaller Miles Lynn, who no one noticed.
Will Allen having the luggage throw there of not having to thread a needle. All he had to do was throw that high, and he was certain that his Cooper Hernandez was going to catch it.
Here's Davis. A rare miss by Spencer Davis. A 3-point lead in the ball for ATX. Allen couldn't get it. Misteller has it. Too far under the basket.
At that age, they haven't quite figured out that alley-oop shot that we saw and were delighted with a few times yesterday at the varsity level.
Landon Brown. Blazers were down as many as 4 in the first half. That has been the largest lead in either direction in what has been a closely fought affair. Liza Robbins is open. Brown knew it. Robbins will get a second chance in the third, but by the time she had it back, Hernandez had positioned himself. Better defensive posture. Another block for Hernandez. 4th of the ball game, and a whistle. Prior to that pass, looks like it's going to be a foul against the Blazers, and it is. It's against Penelope Miller.
I think Robbins would like to have some of those shots back. 3 fairly good looks from the left side. Short, she's a good shooter. Normally will put those down.
Empty trip for ATX.
Landon Brown there weighs about 50 pounds soaking wet, and the basketball almost tipped him over just catching it there.
Spencer Davis to Penelope Miller. Back to Davis. Now picking for him. Back to Penelope. Wouldn't go down. Crowd would have loved that. Penelope, look at the ferocity. Mine, she said. Took it away from her teammate Landon Brown, then positioned him. Brown couldn't get it to fall. There's Will Allen. Allen that time couldn't get it up tall enough, but Miles Lynn was there, and they eventually do get it to Hernandez, and there is that easy signature shot for him.
And that's a shame there. They had the perfect defense set for Cooper Hernandez. They kept him out of where he wanted to be, just couldn't quite secure the ball for the steal, and Hernandez with the easy bucket.
5-point lead. Still in this third quarter as Davis rushed that one a bit. And now that's the 6th consecutive empty trip down floor for the Bennett Blazers.
This is gut check time now. It's not that this is getting away, but again, the Prep a lower scoring affair. 5 points, think of that like a 10-point lead at the varsity level.
Clock started very late there, so we'll have a few extra seconds here in the third quarter. And ATX nearly got the first bucket for Zappet. Ali Zappet had a couple looks at it.
And you could hear that crowd behind us. Do it again! Do it again! Get it! And they are loud and proud out of Austin behind us.
Yes, they are. You kind of jokingly at the conclusion of the half turned around and said, I thought you were going to be louder. And what you got back was, you know, you want some?
I'm regretting the thunderstick comment now, John.
I told you, it's not even 1 o'clock yet. Cooper Hernandez, no good.
And again, Cooper struggling from the outside there. That's not quite his range.
Brown's going to give it a heave, and oh, he had that on line. And just about a foot short, you see the arm strength from Landon Brown. Miles Lynn rolled by him on the way at the conclusion of the quarter and said, man, you almost made that.
I think they might want to check the condition of the equipment there that hit the bucket so hard.
Let's look at the replay here real quick. Yeah, that was online and just a hair short. Well, that would have brought the house down here after the third quarter. 29-24, though, is a prosperous quarter for ATX. They trailed by a couple at the half, so +7 in that quarter. Really, the adjustment and the toggling of Mesteller and Hernandez, and then the late quarter switched back the other way, kind of had the Blazers in fits on the defensive end.
Yeah, that I think the blocks, the story of the second, or the third quarter, I should say, second half, third quarter, as Cooper Hernandez has really made life difficult for Spencer Davis. Spencer Davis with only 2 points in that third quarter, and ATX, of course, scoring as they have been. They've been the one that's been steady. It's basically been 10-10-9 in the quarters, roughly so. That adds up to 29, but the Blazers held a little bit in check there in that second half. They enjoyed a lead, and now they find themselves with a scant 8 minutes in a 5-point deficit.
Now you see some of the awesome members of the ATX cheering section. They see themselves up on the video screen above us. And they are in full regalia here for the national championship, and rightfully so. You know, see an event of this magnitude with this spirit, and you realize it takes a village of volunteers and sponsors and partners, and we've got some great partners as well. There's the Blazer contingent as well, not to be outdone. But ABC Medical is a proud sponsor of the NWBA and a fan of adaptive sports nationwide. Check out ABC Medical for your medical supply needs. Also, CNF Bank and Mortgage. CNF Bank was built on the simple truth that if you pay attention to people and the community, you can make a difference. We are proud to support the great work of Sportable in the greater Richmond area. Quick shot attempt by Miles Lynn to start the fourth quarter. Couldn't get it. And now, a seemingly big possession to start this quarter the right way for the Blazers.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely agreed. You can see the play, same play drawn up on that one. Allen to a tall Statue of Liberty. Hernandez to feed a streaking Miles in the lane. Just didn't work this time.
You see the kind of one-man weave for Spencer Davis, just continually changing directions, trying to force the bigger defender to match his chair skills. And to Cooper Hernandez's credit, he has been equal to that task, particularly in the second half.
Yeah, and now Spencer Davis, I think, feeling a little bit of the weight of the team on his shoulders there. Trying to do a little too much. That pass was a little too hard. He was very fortunate that it was last touched by ATX.
Eyes up! Look for the pass!
Davis has the inbound. This time he'll get the help of a pick. Long two. Didn't get it. Penelope Miller, though, has the rebound. Got it over to Robbins. Robbins couldn't quite get it up on the rim, and that was excellent defense from Will Allen, altering that shot.
Yeah, and coming up with the rebound as well. Like you said, Robbins a great shooter, and just it was a defensive effort there.
And that one rolls out and then off the fingertips of Hernandez.
I know that would only been a 7-point lead, but that would have been a big one had that gone down.
Yeah, under 7 minutes, 7-point deficit. That would have been a lot to overcome. Prep Division National Championship game. Thanks for being with us. Blazers trying to come from behind. ATX out of Austin trying to hold on. Spencer Davis trying to bust a 4-minute plus scoring drought. They'll give it up to Brown. Brown eyeing it up, didn't get it. And those shots mentioned have stopped falling for the Blazers, and the ability to sustain that offensive success has not been there in the second half. Hernandez was held by Penelope Miller going by. You can see Penelope grabbed his wheel to slow his progress and got caught doing it. Sometimes it's the most innocent looking ones.
Indeed,
You've seen, it's been funny. I've honed in on her facial expressions during the second half. She is a competitor.
She seems to be the one that gets her brothers and sisters in trouble at home, right?
Yeah, I think so. She is tough. You can see her setting that tandem pick there. Now out on defense, and she got partial block on that shot. Penelope Miller, little number 2. Possession in transition. Haven't seen many of those. And Stellar takes it away.
Yeah, time waning here. Not a lot of possessions left. They're going to need to make the most of every one.
Miles Lynn gets it on the axe as he banks it down. And there is that 7-point lead, and it's now even another minute and a half later.
And we'll see if Tim Allen has his team slow the game down. Again, no shot clock at the prep level. You can really burn a lot of clock, especially with that height. Very hard to stop.
Spencer Davis couldn't get it clean to Robbins. Liza has it now, and Hernandez knocks it away from her.
I've been, I'll put this in air quotes, John, entertained by a couple of prep games where I've seen the big guys just pass the ball around, kill 2 minutes or so. It's an unfortunate thing the rules permit, and when you have the height advantage ATX does, they can kill clock.
And they haven't chosen that route yet, which I like.
Agreed.
It goes against the competitive spirit I've always felt. Dean Smith disagreed.
Great.
5:01 remaining in the game. Dr. Schneider points out, kind of to that halftime adjustment we were talking about, trying to find that third score. Well, ATX has actually found 2 more. They've had 4 athletes score in this second half. There is Penelope Davis. Got it to go, and look at the smile on her face coming back down the floor. And broke a 6-minute scoring drought. But the exuberance short-lived. That size can just kind of break your spirit. Everything you're doing so difficult, everything they're doing looks so easy.
Yep, and that's what we've seen the championship teams look like. They make it look easy. And here, Bennett has had to earn every point.
33-26, just outside of 4 minutes to play. Liza Robbins again. And I think what you see is Davis and the Blazers resigning themselves to the fact that they don't have time for Davis to try to create that space on his possessions now, so he's being forced to involve other scorers who aren't as talented as he is scoring the basketball, but desperate times, desperate measures, and all of that.
Yeah.
It's 2 points in the half for Davis.
I love the way that Davis, as a smart basketball player, realizing he's going to have to go to his secondary and tertiary weapons, and recognizing time not on his side.
Great words, sir. I know you think I don't notice, but I do.
Well, give me the 1 for 4 then, John. Quaternary.
Hey, all right.
4 years of Latin. 4 years of Latin will do that for you. I can go all the way to 25.
Yeah, but you haven't even used a single pun today, much to the chagrin.
I'm at 0 on the pun counter, John.
That's good. You've stored them all up for the headline, the junior varsity title game, which will follow this championship affair. ATX has been the stronger team in the second half. They lead by 7, but we're looking in at the ATX huddle on our We're looking over here, however, at the Blazers huddle, and I love it. Gwenna Herman, man, I've known her for a day. I love her. She's just She's not in there like you would probably see, hey, do this, do this, do this. She's like, guys, we need energy. That's what she said. She goes, Penelope, get them going. Penelope grabbed the tires on the chair of Spencer Davis and just screamed in his face, let's go. She's doing it again right now. It's so cool. There are the Bennett Blazer fans. There's those thunder sticks they're passing out. Here come the Blazers. Well, they look like they are intent to not let ATX roll easily to victory here.
And did you see Miller there, John, doing the arms up, getting the crowd going? She's the complete package of antagonism. Also the most stickered chair of the weekend I've seen. She's got about 20 of them on there. She's my new favorite, John. I'm now rooting. I'm a Penelope Miller fan club president.
Yeah, she has been fun to watch. Look at what she's doing right now, just sticking that hand, speaking of antagonizing, right into the face of Cooper Hernandez.
I'm not touching him.
But it's successful. Yeah.
When you put your finger an inch from your brother's face.
Davis nearly had it tapped from behind, but they'll call a foul.
Dangerous territory here for the Blazers. Very few possessions left. Well, very small margin for error.
There was the fatherly expression from Tim Allen. It was his son, Will, that committed that foul. He looked down and said, son, what are you doing? We have the lead. Blazers have been held to just 2 points in the last 7 minutes. They're going to have to pick it up here offensively. And to Landon Brown. Couldn't make the connection.
We haven't called Stewart's name very often. A little surprised to get that ball, and this one could end it.
Look at the casual chair guidance there from Cooper Hernandez. That was silky smooth.
Yep. We've used the word poetic to describe some of our varsity athletes. Maybe he's a sub-poet.
9-point lead. This is the biggest for the ATX. Davis needed that 3 to fall. It wouldn't. 2.5 to play. ATX closing in on the national championship.
Yeah, and those fans can feel it behind us. They're loud and proud, and they know what's coming.
That one off the hands of Hernandez. Well, you did see, though, the capability of Spencer Davis to hit the 3. He didn't make the 1, but he certainly clearly has the strength and the stroke to do it. So all hope is not lost yet for the Blazers. Davis spinning after giving it to Brown, and Brown will cut into that lead.
I think the big difference in the second half has been the defense of Cooper Hernandez. We would have thought that would have been offensively for him, but he has been the one tasked with guarding Spencer Davis. An advantage, Cooper Hernandez.
And a foul. Brown reaching in there on Masteller. On the ground, minute 50 to play. 7-point lead. And a timeout is taken by Coach Allen. The ATX abilities didn't like the way that was shaping up, and he asked how many timeouts do I have left. The answer to that is 1. This will stretch on the coach's timeout to a full timeout. An opportunity to highlight a few more of our phenomenal partners. Dominion Energy is proud to support the NWBA. Winged Keel is also proud to support the NWBA Wheelchair Basketball National Championships. As a leading life insurance brokerage, we are committed to excellence beneath the surface. Learn more at wingedkeel.com. That's wingedkeel.com. Also, CarMax, an institution here in Richmond. At CarMax, we celebrate inclusion and belonging by supporting the National Wheelchair Basketball Championship right here in our hometown. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the games we have throughout the course of the weekend. It is Championship Sunday. We are in the final 2 minutes of the Prep Division National Championship game. It was a lead for the Blazers, the Bennett Blazers, at the half of 2 points, but ATX has really outplayed them in the second half, and they are a minute 45 away from hoisting that trophy.
Yeah, Spencer Davis held to 2 scant points here in the second half, and like I said, credit Cooper Hernandez coming alive, challenging him, saying, you know what, you're not going to get 3 seconds to set up and shoot because I know you can do it, and you're going to have to earn every shot, and Cooper has won that battle.
Wynn put it into Hernandez, the give and go. He got it back, and a great look, didn't get it, and thrown down floor. Here's an opportunity for Spencer Davis, and Davis couldn't get it. Gwenna Herman, head coach, hopping around in anticipation there. Davis cannot believe he missed that.
Give him 100 of those, I bet he makes 98.
Yeah, exactly. You hear the bench saying, Spencer, don't worry about it. And he shouldn't. You can see that he's the biggest reason why they're in this position. So, and if they're going to have a miraculous comeback, it's probably going to be because of him as well. So
absolutely.
Right back to it. Minute 15, Cooper Hernandez, though, that's just pristine position, and he takes advantage yet again. Hernandez has been the dominant player in this game.
Yeah, the duo of Hernandez and Mostaller just wore them down. The big men leaned on these smaller Blazers, and that's been the story of it.
Under a minute to play, 9-point deficit, looking for all the world like it'll be the ATX Abilities as national champions. The trophy heading back to Austin, Texas.
I hear they can throw a heck of a party in that city, John.
I can attest to that, my friend. Here comes Cooper Hernandez.
Well, they'll be
Spencer
celebrating.
Davis commits the foul. That'll put ATX in the bonus. So Cooper Hernandez will shoot 1 and 1. Now Gwenna Herman is acknowledging that they will not be national champions this year, but she wants to get some of her bench players national championship experience. So trying to get the attention of the officials to get some substitutes into the game. And man, again, I said I love Gwenna Herman, and I do. Ryan Noyes is coming on. He's some noise as Owen Stewart and Penelope Miller depart. Great scene there as Gwenna Herman hugging Penelope Miller. Gotta love this Bennett Blazers program. Great program, bred of great leadership.
John, there's 30 prep teams or so in the country, and Penelope Miller, you are the second best of all of those, and she's taking it hard, but you got to realize second is really good. It's hard to get here.
Yes, indeed it is. As the free throw goes, and also have to mention Olive Weidenhammer also came into the game for the Blazers. Weidenhammer, who has by far and away the best broadcast name in the tournament, so really happy that she's on the floor, and just really happy they get that opportunity. The good coaches, the great coaches, understand what this will mean, national championship trophy or not. Hernandez didn't get the second, but it's a 10-point lead, insurmountable at this point. Doesn't mean the Blazers aren't going to fight all the way to the horn, but they get it down low, and Liza Robbins will earn some foul shots.
21 seconds to go here, John. It's starting to set into these Blazers. I think the reality that they're going to go home with silver, and really they should hold their heads up high. I loved the way in the prior game we saw the team that didn't prevail was the Ryan Martin Foundation. I'll tell you the number one, Delmas Mayo. He first in line to shake the other team's hand. He said, hey, team, hold your heads up high. And I love the way he did that. And you know, Coach Herman will do the same thing for her Bennett Blazers.
Well, I wanted to mention Delmas. He was awesome. He didn't play hardly in that championship game. But he was over here handing out the balls to his teammates to warm up for the second half, and one of them said it's underinflated. He said, I don't care. Stop complaining. Go shoot. Delmas, we love you, buddy. That was awesome.
He's got a future in broadcast.
Yeah. It's going to be the ATX Abilities, though. Final seconds count off. And we'll get a foul here, unfortunately. Robbins wasn't intending to foul right there. See, I was trying to build to the broadcast crescendo. Don't worry, we'll ramp it back up here.
The officials had other plans for you there, John.
We'll start again. Hernandez, yeah, he has been a monster in the middle for the ATX Abilities. 1 and 1 on the 8th foul of the half. Nearly got that one to spin back through, but that's going to be it as the seconds tick away here in Richmond. the ATX Abilities, your prep division national champion.
John, here just a tale of two halves, right? We saw ATX make an out-adjust Coach Herman in that they put the appropriate players on their outside shooters of Spencer Davis and Landon Brown. They really isolated them, kept them cold. I believe that the Blazers only put up 11 points in that entire second half, and that was the key to this game for the national champion ATX Abilities.
The ATX chant ringing through the Henrico Sports and Events Center, the handshake line. A lot of appreciation, a lot of smiles. And it tells you all you need to know. Gwenna Herman, her team had, like you say, just knew there a couple of minutes ago they were going to lose. She looked over with the biggest smile, thumbs up. They've had a heck of a weekend here, regardless of not claiming the national championship. Congratulations as well to the Bennett Blazers. Program continues to be reckoned with in wheelchair basketball. But the championship and the hardware belong to the ATX Abilities. Congratulations to head coach Tim Allen. You know, as we close this portion of our Championship Sunday broadcast, Todd, I think you need to revisit it. Less than 5 years ago, life-altering car accident, and then you see his son, Will Allen, the first through the line, a national champion.
Some people fold in the face of adversity. Nearly every athlete here has faced adversity their entire lives on a daily basis, and they don't fold here. This is what wheelchair basketball is all about, bringing out the abilities of the athletes. And Will Allen, Tim's son, spotlighting exactly that fortitude, that ability to overcome, the ability to course correct when life handed him a major accident. And his play in the game was a major momentum shift. Remember, we kept asking who was going to be that third one to step up, who was going to be that fourth one to step up. When that dimension got added, that left the big guys, Mastaller, Hernandez, to come in. And Will, I say this with every ounce of compassion and tenderness, I am so glad you are here and God saved you that day.
Yes, indeed he did. Put the cap on it for us, Dr. Schneider. Your thoughts on our Prep National Championship game?
Oh, first of all, what a great game, and really it was the defensive adjustments in the second half. I think the way that they came out and really hedged out on the shooters, and then also offensively put their different big men in the high post and was running some different action off of that, really made it difficult for the Blazers to respond. They just had too many weapons and a lot of good defensive effort in that second half.
Thank you, guys. That was a load of fun, and we're nowhere near done just yet as we have our Junior Varsity National Championship game on deck. The Lakeshore Lakers taking on the Charlotte Rollin' Hornets. It is going to be a hive of an activity here inside the Henrico Sports and Events Center, pun number one on the board. Big thanks to Nikki DeSantis, Mike, our entire crew behind the scenes for their outstanding production of our Prep Division National Championship game as well. We'll take a timeout, but continue to enjoy the sights. They're transitioning, of course, back to the 10-foot rims here for our Junior Varsity Championship. We'll be back with you 5 minutes prior to the opening tap-off. National championships have been crowned. One more to go here in Richmond.